oh, he's on steroids. Well, he is if he's on TRT, and he is if he's on anabolic steroids, but they're two very different things.
I've learned a lot over the 4 decades of health and fitness and being in the trenches with the greatest in the world. And one of those things I've learned a lot more about and how to build better muscle is nutrition and how it has changed over the decades. And that's why I have the Titan meal plan for you guys out there that are confused about nutrition. I'm gonna set you straight. Get a hold of me today. The link will be in the comments down below for you guys. Everybody, get over to the Titan meal plan, and I'll see you in the Titan crew where I will fine tune any difficulties that you're having.
You're not just a friend. You're like one of my favorite peeps. I just gotta say right from the start of this thing. I've known you for decades, and how you roll on all aspects of life, I freaking love. So
Nice of you to say, man.
I don't like that my girl always stares at you, too handsome and stuff. With that being said,
That was you who's always staring at me.
I stared too, and I guess it's okay now in the world we live in. But that being said, I like how you are very layman's terms when it comes to HRT and what you do. Give them a background on where you started and where you learned.
Well, that kind of, if you really want to start from the beginning, it goes way back. I mean, I'm 61 years old, and back in the day, TRT, BHRT, whatever you want to call it, was really not accepted anywhere close to like it is today. I can remember getting lectured when I was younger, going to a doctor who I thought would help me with this sort of thing, and getting the lecture about, you're too young, you know what you're doing, it's gonna, all the things that are legendary, you're everything from, not to be crass, but, things are gonna fall off your body and you're gonna become, infertile and, all kinds of weird stuff. And yet I was definitely in need back then. And so I pursued it.
How old were you at that time?
Well, honestly, I started just for other reasons with hormones, just to be completely candid about it, when I was freshman in college, right? I mean, again,
So 18 ish.
17, I went to college. Maybe I was 18 by that time, but I kind of went to college a little early because I was one of those weird birthdays. But anyway, when I first realized I really was off and felt like I was in my early 30s, which is nowadays not surprising at all, but back then it was like, oh, come on. And even today, doctors will blow you off and say, it's normal, which drives me nuts because, it's normal to get sick and die one day too, so who cares about normal? But I remember just pursuing it until I found somebody who would prescribe it for me. Of course, it was a night and day difference and a game changer. And then, eventually I ended up going to med school and learning more about it, although I studied every which way I could getting up to that point, because even today, doctors are not, we're not taught this stuff in medical school. You talk to any physician today, unless they've done a fellowship, specialty, the basic training might include 20 minutes, and that covers all the hormones. Done. We're done. So, I had to do a lot of research on my own, and then I met up with another doctor before I even got into medical school. Or once I signed up for medical school, I started helping out just because the self-study had helped, and I could, under his license, help in the office and one thing or another. And it just really, I fell into it because I love it. It helped me so much, and I watched how it helped other people, not just from my perspective, but from the doctor I started working with perspective. And it wasn't available to most people because, again, this is a long time ago. Doctors still didn't really have a grasp of it. I would say to this day, with all due respect to the physicians out there, it's not very common to use TRT, BHRT in terms of, the other hormones that might be applicable specifically for women. Urologists have started to pick up the ball, thanks to guys like Larry Lipschultz out of Baylor University and all his fellows, which there are a lot of fellows that have come out of there that have spread across the country, that are spreading the word, so to speak. Unfortunately, for women, gynecologists have not really picked up the ball. They were always comfortable prescribing things for the uterus and for fertility, but that's limited typically to estrogen, progesterone. Testosterone was still regarded, seems unfathomable to those of us in the know today, but testosterone is for men only. You're like, what?
If you are confused about training, do not worry. That's what the Titan training plan is for. For you guys to subscribe to this plan, you also get the additional coaching from me in the Titan private group. Get in there today, and I cannot wait to start working with you and making your dreams come true. Let's get back to the show.
My question here is this, because we were driving over and I'm sitting there going, HRT is, well, first of all, the human body is a beautiful thing. But you go to see a doctor, unfortunately, when you get cancer. And they do treatment. So just stay with me on this. It's going to be an analogy for, I don't understand why it's not more common. And medicine's been around for a long time. But you get sick, you do something. Isn't HRT something you can use when your body starts falling apart? And wouldn't that be considered, in a sense, to a layman's person? Well, you're fixing something that's wrong with you so you can live a better life. This is medicine. You got a headache, you take aspirin. Mm-hmm. You got low testosterone, you take testosterone. It's like, why are these not the same? Why is this like, oh my gosh, no, aspirin. Take Tylenol every single day. You're good. But if your T is low, do not touch testosterone. Am I right or wrong on this?
No, you're right. I mean, it's a diagnosis, hypogonadism, whether it's for a male or a female. That's been extant for a long time. The treatment, whether it's primary or secondary, not to get into the weeds, has been around for a long time too, although we're developing better treatments for secondary hypogonadism, which is, in brief, just if it's not the gonads themselves, but the signal being sent to them. So we have ways to step that up. Somebody might have a pituitary tumor or something. But again, the diagnosis and the treatments have been there, but why they haven't been accepted more widely, your guess is as good as mine. I could give you examples, and this is maybe a little still taboo yet, and this is not my area of expertise, but for example, we know that back in the 70s, when Timothy Leary was still around, and even earlier, we were using what are referred to still as recreational drugs for, well, arguably still for recreational purposes, but we knew that they had value in the treatment of psychological disorders. Right. You could also, there are some that blame Timothy Leary for blowing it because he went too far in the recreational area. And then it just becomes a matter of, and I'll just leave it this, human nature. Whatever that might be defined as, we go, whoa, wait a minute. We're scared. We don't know enough about it or whatever. And so we're just now coming full circle to look into things like, mind-altering substance, we call them LSD, psilocybin, right. MDMA, I forgot what the street name is for ketamine, that these things have really good uses, valuable, plenty of success stories, better than what we've developed in those, what has it been, in that 50-year block, the SSRIs, the antipsychotics and stuff. It's pretty wild. And so I'm just giving you another example.
I love that.
Where did that come from?
Because in the 60s, obviously, everything that they're using nowadays was, that's taboo. But we're going to make medication for you, for the mind and everything. And that didn't seem to do as well or isn't. And now they're jumping over to here going, hey, this stuff kind of helps.
More than kind of.
It kind of, more than kind of. I don't know enough about it, but they're like finally getting there, which is interesting. And hopefully HRT or the understanding that your body does break down or doesn't work functionally perfect.
Yeah.
And so there is medication for you to do that. And that's one thing that it's interesting that, again, I think steroids became banned when it wasn't, they were bad for you. It makes you a superhuman. And so it's like, okay, we gotta take care of this. And
you bring up a great point. It might have been part of that crossover between the anabolic steroids you're referring to and just naturally occurring steroids, meaning from the word cholesterol, right? So anabolic steroids, because, pick one, and it's 8 times more anabolic than regular testosterone, gives you an edge, and maybe that bled over into, normal, well, I shouldn't say normal, I hate that word, but, justifiable, as it were, use to just right the ship, as you're referring to, fix a problem rather than go above and beyond and, be superhuman, as you put it. So, again, your guess is as good as mine as to why that has not been accepted for so long. But I would say, without a doubt, the cat's out of the bag now. There are so many people that have found out about the value in TRT. We have plenty of studies, and this is the kick in the pants. We've got studies that actually go back to the 1950s that show, yeah, that does have value. So it's been around for a while, but it's just kind of been like, yeah, we're not going to go there. I don't know why, again. But now we have way more studies and show the correlation between low testosterone and a lot of disease processes, type 2 diabetes, colon cancer, prostate cancer, for men, obviously, osteoporosis, what am I missing? Coronary artery disease. Now, correlation, then we get into how science has to observe this for good reason, cause and effect, not just correlation. But I can tell you there are so many instances now of clinicians who use this and can, for example, reverse type 2 diabetes just by bringing the levels of testosterone back to an optimized level. That, as I said, the cat's out of the bag. This can't go backwards.
That's a great thing then. If more people would do that, and then it's just up to the individual thinking their mindset. Because I think when you say HRT or you speak about, this is another thing we were talking about just on the drive over, is they think by getting back to a healthy dose or a regular dose of where your levels should be, your biomarkers or whatever you would say you call them, then it's the assumption that, well, if I get and I start this, I'm going to be Jay Cutler or somebody, right? It's such an odd thing to think.
Sure,
right?
you are.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, you're just getting back to what the body should be at so you can be healthy and energetic and stuff. And then the thought of that is, oh my gosh, I'm going to be superhuman now. Well, then why weren't you?
Well, I see all kinds of what do you want to call them? Rationalizations, imaginations of what might occur.
I don't want to go to the gym and train because then I'm going to get jacked. All right, good luck with that.
Yeah, it happens overnight, of course, too. And then again, we have what I was referring to as the bleeding over from that and the understanding of anabolic steroids, or the other way, if you want to look at it that way, people mistake the two. I mean, we actually use the term, oh, he's on steroids. Well, he is if he's on TRT, and he is if he's on anabolic steroids, but they're two very different things. So I think that has led to some of the confusion, but your point's well taken if you mean to say also that not only is the cat's out of the bag from the standpoint of the profession of medicine, but because the people that are being treated have said, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, there's plenty of people that you might see at the gym or otherwise, and you go, what the heck, man, what'd you do? Did you get a new girlfriend, change your diet? No, I'm on TRT. And they go, I want to look into that too. So, and again, there's a wave of people that are discovering, if it's appropriate, it's a game changer, like anything else. If you have type 2 diabetes, or let's use type 1 insulin-dependent diabetes, well, then use insulin, man. It can make all the difference in your life.